one other game we want to highlight before we get to our game draft is the encore performance for the Colorado Buffs, now at home in Boulder. In comes Nebraska off the loss to Minnesota on Thursday night. This Nebraska defense against Colorado's offense, to me, is where the entire game hinges, because I simply do not trust Jeff Sims. I do not trust Nebraska's offense against Colorado's defense, even if Colorado's defense was a little bit leaky against TCU. Does Nebraska have the dudes to contain Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter and Dylan Edwards, who, especially at home, I'm imagining will be putting up more highlight reel plays?
Look, I know everybody's like really trendy. Hey, like everybody's betting Colorado. You should take Nebraska here.
No.
What did you see about Nebraska that you liked on Thursday night? I mean, the defense, I think, has a chance to be better than I realized. The secondary is probably pretty solid, and I think they will be well coached on defense. Obviously, you know my thoughts on the offensive coordinator hire. It felt like charity. But man, I mean, Jeff Sims carried the ball 19 times. A couple of those were sacks, but I think that speaks to the lack of weapons that Nebraska has on the offensive side. We'll find out if Nebraska can throw the football at all. We'll also find out if Colorado's defense is like, they're clearly not a top half defense. Is Colorado like one of the 20 worst defenses in the sport? One of like the 40 worst? Because if Colorado has like a top 80 defense, they should clearly be favored in this game. But they also had no tackles for loss and no sacks in like 80 plays against TCU, which is concerning.
Did you know about that Kendall Briles story that Deion told on the Pat McAfee show? Because I had not heard that story before. And for those who might not have caught it, just to summarize quickly, Deion Sanders told a story about being at a camp, and he didn't mention the school's name, of course, but he said that that offensive coordinator, TCU's offensive coordinator, meaning Kendall Briles, said Shedeur and I were at a camp, and the coach didn't even talk to him, just left him off to the side. Pushed him off to the side and indicated that he was basically ignored, that before the game, Shedeur Sanders made a point to point out Kendall Briles and want to make him pay for this. Now, the little bit of Wikipedia timelines, internet sleuthing or whatever. So I guess we have to be talking about Kendall Briles at Florida State, Willie Taggart's staff. Shedeur Sanders is, very, very young at this camp, but that was an interesting little look, as if Colorado needs any more chips on the shoulder. It seems like Shedeur Sanders was uniquely motivated to make TCU and Kendall Briles pay in that situation.
I mean, look, it's a national TV game. You should be max motivated anyway, but like certainly I think it's a nice little revenge there.
So anyway, that's why I don't say tackles for loss as a big thing for Colorado, because what offense were they going up against?
No, that's completely fair.
Sorry, that was a huge tangent for me to just be like, well, yeah, TCU gets the ball out fast too.
I mean, look, like Shedeur did not have an impressive arm in high school. I think he's gotten a little bit better in that area, and he's shown tremendous mental talent, right? Like working through his reads, understanding where to go with the ball, and I think his touch is better than it was. Sometimes guys just aren't great in high school and get better. Like, I don't think he was a high-level prospect coming out. He's, to his credit, I think he's put in the work to get better, and they have an offense that really fits him, right? Like, that's not an offense where you have to drive the football very much. Around the same time, a couple years earlier, if I can share this, I remember pretty vividly watching three quarterbacks work out at Florida State's camp with Jimbo. It was DeAndre Francois, it was DeAndre Johnson, and then this kid named Lamar Jackson. And guys, sometimes guys who end up being good players are terrible in camp. Everybody was pretty excited to see Lamar throw, I think, because we had seen some of the highlights. He put like every ball in the dirt. I'm sure Florida State still has this camp footage. Like, it was their prospect camp. It's like, man, like this guy's just really, really raw, not accurate. Just nowhere close to the target repeatedly. Guys do get better, and like, to their credit, obviously, you can put in the work and get better. And going to a place, if you're a recruit out there, that won't require too much of you early is also not a bad thing. With the transfer portal, go to a place where you'll play early. If you're a guy who needs to play early, and go to a place where you can get on the field. And then if you're really, really good and you dominate your level, move on up. Now, people will have a little more film on what Colorado does offensively. I'm not sure how much that'll matter because I think everybody kind of figured out what they were going to do, given that Sean Lewis is a really good coordinator hire for them. By the way, Cover 3 veteran Sean Lewis was on the show last year with us. They do a really good job of creating open guys, and Shedeur finds them and hits them fast. However, Nebraska's defense does a nice job of confusing people. So can they confuse them better than TCU did? I don't know. We'll see. It's possible. Defensively, everybody's like, TCU should have ran the football more. You know who's not going to have to be told to run the football more is Nebraska. How much will Colorado be able to load up against the run here? And can Jeff Sims in Nebraska make them pay at all? Now, Castaneda Garcia is out, one of their receivers who got hurt. So I think Washington came back. He was suspended first half last week. I'm trying to look at the camera more, look at my notes less this year, but that's roughly right in my head. We'll see if they can make them pay, because if you're Colorado, you definitely want to load up against the run, even if it means allowing some explosive plays, right?
But I want your notes. Don't let the chat bully you into saying that your eyes drift too much. I know how many screens you have right there. I need all of that information here. When it's just the two of us, we're just larger. In the 4-box, it's not going to be quite as noticeable. I think that this is all valuable. Do not let the chat bully you into not scanning across all the screens to get us the information.
If I'm Charles Kelly, last thing on this, I know we have a game draft to get to. I'm just going all out to stop the run.
Yeah.
If Nebraska scores 30 because they hit some explosive plays, but I get the ball 14 times at altitude and we get to play at my tempo and not Matt Rhule's tempo, I think that's advantage Colorado. The worst thing is like Nebraska's able to run the ball, keep that offense off the field. They get out of rhythm. You know,
Colorado has more high-end talent.
Yeah.
The very top line is better for Colorado. More possessions in this game mean more chance that Colorado is going to win. The identity that I have put on this Colorado team is not dissimilar to USC. Different ceilings and floors, but just like, what am I expecting? I'm expecting that they can outscore most of their opponents just because they have unbelievable top-end talent and they're running an offense that is very difficult to stop, especially when it starts to get into a rhythm.
I think they have to.